Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Second round WR suggested as potential new Steelers trade target after Diggs trade. The Pittsburgh Steelers were a part of one of the biggest wide receiver trades of the offseason. They sent Diontae Johnson to the Carolina Panthers in a deal that left them without a WR2. Now an even bigger wide receiver trade has been made. The Buffalo Bills traded Stefon Diggs to the Houston Texans. That trade could open up an opportunity for the Steelers. The Texans are now loaded at wide receiver, and that could make one receiver that may have just become the odd man out in Houston an option for the Steelers. Steelers Nation's Parker Abate believes that the Texans landing Diggs could make John Mechie III a trade target for the Steelers. Mechie was an interesting prospect when he declared for the NFL draft. He hadn't been the WR1 at any point during his 3 seasons at Alabama, but he had been very productive during his time there. That production didn't come right away. He made just 23 catches as a freshman. Then he made a big improvement in his sophomore season. Despite having to fight for targets in a wide receiver room that also included Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith, Mechie was able to make 55 catches for 916 yards and 6 touchdowns. The next season, he was paired with Jameson Williams at wide receiver and once again saw an improvement in his numbers. As a junior, Mechie made 96 catches for 1,142 yards and 8 touchdowns. His strong last 2 seasons led the Texans to select him 44th overall in 2022. Unfortunately, he suffered a major setback before his rookie season again. Mechie was diagnosed with cancer and had to miss his entire rookie year. Thankfully, he was able to beat cancer and was able to return for his second season. By the time he returned, he once again found himself in a crowded wide receiver room. During the 2023 offseason, the Texans drafted Tank Dell and signed Robert Woods. They also already had Nico Collins, who had a huge 2023 season, and added Dalton Schultz at tight end for a bit more target competition. Mechie was able to appear in 16 games in his first seasons of NFL action, but only made 16 catches for 158 yards. Now that the Texans have Diggs, Mechie will find himself way down the depth chart, and that could convince the team to trade him before the 2024 season begins. If they make him available, he could be of interest to a Steelers team that needs to improve at the position. Right now, the Steelers' wide receiver situation is a bit of an odd one. When they traded Johnson away, it left them with a major hole at wide receiver. In the time since the trade, they've added quite a few receivers, but none of them are a replacement for Johnson. They've signed Van Jefferson, Quez Watkins, and Cordarrelle Patterson. Patterson's biggest contribution to the team will likely come as a kick returner. Meanwhile, Watkins and Jefferson are more likely to compete for spots as the WR3 and WR4 than for Johnson's old spot. That should leave the team still looking to improve at the position. They could look for a receiver in the draft, but also have other needs that they could prioritize in the first couple of rounds. A move for Mechie wouldn't eliminate their need for a WR2, but he's at least a player who previously showed the potential to be a productive starter. He's somebody that could be available for a reasonable trade price and still has plenty of potential at just 23 years old. If the cost isn't prohibitive, he'd be worth a shot for the Steelers. Report: Steelers don't want to address center in round 1 of 2024 NFL Draft. The Pittsburgh Steelers currently sit with 4 major holes heading into the 2024 NFL Draft, 2 of them being on the offensive line at center and right tackle, assuming they'd like to move Broderick Jones back to his natural position on the left. That's led to a flurry of speculation that the Steelers could be in play for Oregon center prospect Jackson Powers Johnson, the consensus top-ranked center among NFL draft experts. However, just because it's a glaring need doesn't mean it will be the one addressed by Pittsburgh on day 1 of the draft. In fact, Mark Kaboly of The Athletic shared in an appearance on 93.7 The Fan that buzz indicates the Steelers are hoping to wait on center and draft one on day 2. This wouldn't necessarily be a huge surprise in most cases, considering center is a position infrequently drafted in the first round. However, given that the Steelers don't currently have a center on their roster after the release of Mason Cole, fans might be feeling anxious to fill the need. There are a few centers that could fit the bill in round 2, one of whom is WVU's Zach Frazier, who it was announced they'd be hosting for a local visit in early March. Don't be surprised if the Steelers elect to use their first-round pick on an option at tackle to complement second-year OT Broderick Jones, with a number of viable options likely to fall to number 20. With where things stand today, what position do you hope the Steelers address in round 1 of the 2024 NFL Draft? Steelers eyeing Brandon Aiyuk, Deebo Samuel-like WR in 2024 NFL Draft. The Steelers are still searching for another wide receiver to pair with George Pickens after trading Deontay Johnson to the Panthers earlier this offseason. Could they land the next Brandon Aiyuk or Deebo Samuel? According to Bleacher Report's Jordan Schultz, Pittsburgh is among 4 teams hosting Western Kentucky wide receiver Malachi Corley on a top 30 visit this week. The others include the Browns, Cowboys, and Ravens. Corley is not viewed as one of the 2024 NFL Draft's top wide receiver prospects, but he could turn out to be a sneaky addition for the team that takes a chance on him. The Western Kentucky product has posted 180 receptions for 2,277 yards and 22 touchdowns over the past 2 seasons. He has also dabbled as a runner, rushing for 98 yards during that time. That's exactly why he has already drawn comparisons to 49ers wide receivers Brandon Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel. Corley is a big, physical wideout who has been asked to carry a heavy workload for Western Kentucky using his talent after the catch, NFL.com's Lance Zierlein writes. Like Brandon Aiyuk or Deebo Samuel when they were prospects, Corley has had a heavy percentage of his targets schemed around him. If Corley turns out to be anything like Aiyuk or Samuel, the Steelers would be ecstatic to land him, especially given their recent interest in potentially trading for Aiyuk. The best part is a day 2 pick is all that is expected to acquire Corley. The 22-year-old currently ranks as the 20th best wide receiver and number 85 overall prospect on Pro Football Focus's big board. There has been no other team better at drafting wide receivers outside of the first round than Pittsburgh. So, if Corley has caught the team's attention, then maybe it would be smart for some other wide receiver-needy teams to do their homework on him. The Steelers are hoping Corley's list of suitors doesn't grow for their sake, as he could turn out to be the perfect complement to Pickens in their offense. And you, fan, what do you think of the situation of Brandon Aiyuk? Leave your opinion in the comments.